participants registered from, 30 countries or something like that, which is great. And once they're in, I'll ask everybody where they're coming from to say hi and etc. I'm stuck in a phone booth, as you can see. I hate these these phone booths, but it's the only quiet place in the office right now where I don't get disturbed and there's no echo. The meeting rooms are quite nice here, but many of them are busy, and it's a really beautiful sunny day here in Stockholm, yeah, it feels like summer has come, but I'm stuck in this in this phone booth for the upcoming hour. So I'll see if I can get some air here. Oh, we have Sven from Belgium on board. Hi, Sven. Let's see, how do I see the participants? Maybe I should more. Hey guys, if please write in the chat, say hi to everybody, and state where you're coming from. It's always nice to see where we are logged in and in this global community of incubators, accelerators. That's actually one of the things that I enjoy the most, to be connected to you all from all parts of the world. I love, hi Sander, Netherlands, amazing. Sven, you go Benelux. That's great. Hey guys, from South Africa, glad to have you on board. Hey Christina from Luleå. Well, sorry for the hockey loss the other day. It was the finals. I saw the games. You did a good job, but sorry about that. Hi Omar from Paris and Tunis. Tampa, Lakshmi, always a pleasure to have you. Always a smile on your face. Love you guys. Melbourne, Australia. Oh, it's middle of the night or evening for you guys. Leonid, well, great to have you with us from Australia as well. Hi, Pratik, Bangalore, India. I haven't been to Bangalore. I've been to Mumbai, to Goa, and to Delhi. Maybe I should also, I was supposed to visit Kerala, by the way, Prajeet. Really? Just before the pandemic hit. I was in India back then, but I had to take the last flight back home. Okay. From with Qatar Airways before India shut everything down. Otherwise, I would have been stuck with you guys for, yeah, it was literally the last flight home, which was an interesting experience. Okay, it's 5 minutes past. I'm gonna start. This webinar is recorded, and will we be able to share with everybody later on. Hey guys, welcome to this webinar about how to measure incubator accelerator excellence. My name is Ali, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of UBI Global. And you know what? We've made a short video presentation about UBI just to set the stage. So Clemens, would you help me to press play, and we'll take it from there. Great, thanks. So UBI Global, we've been around since 2013, and we do 4 things. Number 1, we benchmark. That's what we are known for. And this is why we are here today, to talk about the framework and the methodology and how we measure. But that's how it started. We do a lot of benchmarking activities. Number 2, we do ranking. So one of the great outputs of the benchmark is that we try to recognize and provide rankings to the community in order to showcase operational excellence and best practices. And the rankings help us to highlight that. Number 3, we do education and learning. We try to take the insights and knowledge from the benchmark, from the rankings, and then provide them back to the community, to you guys. And webinar is one format. We have reports, publications, events, workshops, and some other activities where we would like to kind of give back to the community. And number 4, we connect. As part of UBI Global, there's a huge community of incubators and accelerators, more than 1,000 of them from 92 countries, where we connect them with each other and also with the corporate and investment community. So those are the 4 things that UBI does. We benchmark, we recognize, we educate, and we connect. We're here today for the first part of it, and that's the benchmarking aspect. As you guys know, we've been having developed a framework that we've been working since 2012, 2013 to develop together with you guys, that we've tweaked and worked on for a couple of iterations. And today we would like to highlight some of the structure of that framework, but more importantly, to discuss with 2 program directors or representatives that we have from the community that has been using and leveraging this framework for a couple of years now. Before I introduce you to our panelists today, I'm going to share my screen and go through a short presentation about the framework, and then in 6 or 7 minutes after that, we'll dig deep into the conversations with our program directors. So let's see if I can make this happen. Yes, and I'm gonna share my PowerPoint, which I have here. Let's see if I can get the technology to work. Always interesting. It works when you do the testing. Where can I find it? Okay, I'll try again. If I click there, okay, it's on. You should share screen. There we go. And share. I hope that everybody sees my screen. Is that correct? Perfect, thank you. Always good to start when it comes to the target group. Who are we benchmarking? Who are we conducting research on? For us, it's business incubators and accelerators, and we also have something in between we call a hybrid program. And a hybrid program is many of you guys that are a mix of both, where you have incubation activities, but also acceleration processes as well. And the way we have defined it is that an incubator focus usually have a early stage client startup focus, and it has a longer duration. And the idea is to provide services for free or in exchange for program or membership fees. This is, of course, have many different variations of it, but this is the type of, or this is the definition that we have chosen when it comes to incubators and accelerators. We know that there are later early stage incubation program, later stage, and etc. But if we kind of generalize it a little bit, this is how UBI sees it. On the other hand, when it comes to accelerator, it has a shorter period, a duration. It ends with a demo day. It focuses on support growth and acceleration. Both of these programs are programs, and I think that's the most important aspect of it. And a program has a start and an ending. You cannot be in an incubator forever or in accelerator, and there needs to be a clear quality intake to start the program and a clear somewhat exit. And that exit could be a demo day, it could be reaching a milestone, it could be some sort of agreement. So an incubation or an acceleration, it's a program with a start and an ending. And we have a lot of programs out there, or wannabe programs, organizations that are asking to join UBI and join the benchmark. It could be co-working spaces, it could be some other types of activities where they support a startup, but they fail to have a clear start and an ending, and then therefore we don't accept them as an organization in our community. We would like to kind of state that for you guys, that we want to have some sort of homogeneous community so that you can learn from each other and have the same type of structure. Furthermore, we have divided you guys into 4 different types of incubator and accelerator programs. Many of and we call them university, public, private, and corporate. Our community of around 1,000 programs, 60% of you guys are connected to university, academia. When UBI started, we only accepted university business incubator programs, but as the years has gone by, we've opened it up a little bit. The public ones are mostly run by governments or municipalities, cities. The private ones, as you guys know, those are the Y Combinator, the 500 startups, the private programs as well. Around 8% of our community is private. And the corporate one are the corporate incubators, accelerators that you have seen, such as Nike's accelerator program, or SAP, or Google Launchpad for startups example. Only 2% of our community are corporates, and that's a field that it's immensely increasing, but the value proposition that UBI provides are mostly for the university and public ones, and that's the biggest segment of our community. The way we do is that we try to separate incubators from accelerators, and sometimes the hybrid programs as well. And then we ask, okay, which of these groups are you connected to? Are you mostly university, public, private, or corporate? You get to decide this by yourself, but we take a look at your budget and kind of and ask, because of the funding, and help you kind of segment yourself into the area, because we feel that the budget where the money comes from tells quite a lot about your availability or degrees of freedom, or what you can do, and where you can segment. But we leave that categorization mostly up to you guys. And then the idea is that based on if you're an incubator or accelerator, if you're a university, public, private, or corporate, we divide you into different benchmarking categories. This is just so that you can be compared, so that we can compare apples with apples and pears with pears, so that university incubators are benchmarked and ranked with university incubators, and the private are accelerators are benchmarked and ranked with accelerators. So we try to have this type of segment, but at the end of the day, it goes back to how much data that we have and how many of you that actually participates. So when it comes to rankings, we divide you in these type of groups so that you are not ranked with those programs that are not similar to you. But when it comes to benchmarking, we give you benchmarking on all, or we going to let you decide to benchmark yourself on different categories. That's a little bit up to you. So this is how we kind of developed it, build it forward. And if anybody has another type of suggestions, solutions, we're all ears, but we found this to be a good segmentation and categorization when it comes to supporting you and showcasing your insights and the best practices. Moving ahead, the way it's structured, our framework and methodologies, that we have 21 KPIs that we have categorized into eight different subcategories, 3 categories, and 1 benchmarking score, and we have put different weights on it. What is new for this year around is that we developed a new framework for ESG. I will not go so much more in depth into the framework today. We will have another video presentation only talking about the framework, only talking about the KPIs and structure. But I just want you guys to know that this has been the foundation of our studies, what we have been using to engage with you, and how we are measuring impact, performance, and excellence. Again, the framework consists of 21 KPIs, categories, and etc. And if you want to take a look at some of the KPIs that we've had, it's jobs created and sustained, both on startup level and on our program level. We look at how much investment that is being attracted on your startups, and it's based on the previous year and up to 5 years, for example. We look at qualified exits and many more measurements. Again, I'm not going to dig deeper into the metrics today because that itself, it's a 3-hour workshop and presentation and webinar too. But just a short reminder that there is a foundation that we are building our studies on. It's available on worldbenchmarkstudy.com to download, and there will be more videos, webinars only talking about that. One thing, again, that it's new that we're going to speak quite a lot about in the future, and that's the ESG component. That's something that we've developed recently together with our partners at SETsquared, where the idea is to see how we can measure on economical, sustainable, social governance type of metrics. We know that that has increased quite a lot when it comes to showcasing what you guys are doing and where the market is leading and what your stakeholders are looking for when it comes to growth and when it comes to innovation and impact in the future. This is quite exciting and it requires a lot of more discussions and in depth, and we hope to be able to kind of dip our toes a little bit today. I don't want to take much more of the time around this because I love talking about research, data, metrics. I can do that forever. I think it's more important that we speak with the people that are actually leveraging this and utilizing this. So if you guys have any more questions about the metrics, the KPIs, the framework, etc., please write them in the chat. So that we can capture them. But as I mentioned, more information will come to you in various formats and on different platforms, just speaking about that. Whew. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. I'm gonna stop sharing and we go back into the webinar. Okay, so today I have, let's see, can I do the right view? Yes, today I have 2 guests with me from SETsquared and from Kerala Startup Mission. But before I do that, Clemens, can you show them the slide with the background, the first slide that we have, so that everybody can see their names and their titles? Thank you. So today we have Karen Brooks, who is a program director from SETsquared in the UK, and we also have Prajeet Prabhakaran from Kerala Startup Mission, and Prajeet works with corporate relations and accelerators. Hi, Karen. Hi, Prajeet.
Hi, Ali. Great to be here.
Hi. Nice to have you. Well, last time we saw each other, Karen? It was in Dubai, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Josh. Yes, that was great.
It was really nice. And we had another type of study that we conducted there, the triumph of innovation. It was really nice to see you in person again after a couple of years to connect. Prajeet, have we met, or did we meet in Qatar perhaps?
Yeah, so you might have met Ashok, so who was there, Qatar. And after that, this connection happened. Then me and Angela met. Then from then onwards, that collaboration between the UBI Global and KSCM is going through me and Angela.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for both of you for being here. And the reason that you have been invited is that both of your programs have always been highly ranked in our studies using this framework. You have amazing programs and amazing program behind you, and you've always showcased a great performance. And so I'm gonna start just so to set some context. Karen, could you kind of in less than 2 minutes just give everybody a background of what SETsquared is and what type of organization that you are and how many startups that you are supporting right now, and the important part is that how are you funded, so that everybody kind of gets some context.
Yeah, absolutely, Ali. So SETsquared's been going for 20 years this year. We're government funded. We're a collaboration of 6 universities because we brought in Cardiff last year. So it's Bath, Bristol, Southampton, Exeter, Cardiff, and Surrey. I think I said them all. If I missed one, I apologize to them. And so we support early stage technology companies right across the breadth. It's not in one particular sector. So deep tech, med tech, etc. And we do really early stage right through to sort of scale up. So real broad breadth there as well. And at the moment, we're supporting around 550 companies at any one time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Karen. That was great. Prajeet, what about you guys?
So Kerala Startup Mission is actually a state government nodal agency, which has been into action since last 7 years, and we are completely, come under government of Kerala. So government of Kerala funds the whole, the Kerala Startup Mission to drive this ecosystem. So more than incubator, more than accelerator, we are kind of a facilitator that facilitates A to Z of things that a startup needs. So if you ask me like what we do, we have a full-fledged dedicated incubation program. We run accelerator programs with different partners. We have government schemes through which we support the startups. So one such highlighting scheme is the government as a marketplace scheme, wherein we make sure that the startups are hitting the government market without any tender process. So that is another thing. We have a corporate innovation program tied up with like 50 plus corporates. We have several schemes like we support startups in sending the delegation to various countries. We sponsor the startups and we send them to different countries. We have tie-ups with universities, and through them we are supporting several colleges. In fact, we have mini incubators in 300 plus colleges. We have women entrepreneurship schemes. So in a nutshell, you can see that we are a umbrella body through which we are supporting the startups in the best possible way we can, and we have like 3,000 plus startups in our network.
Perfect. It's really big organizations, and there's a reason that we've invited you guys, because you are forced to kind of work with a lot of metrics and performance and showcasing relevancy basically, and justification on why it's important to run incubation programs. So again, thank you for being here, both of you, and I think that's kind of the segue to the first question, Karen, is who would you say is the 2 biggest stakeholders that you have, and how would those 2 measure you guys, if your excellence? So your 2 biggest stakeholders, and how do they measure your impact, your performance, your excellence?
Yeah, that's interesting, because we've got 2 different stakeholders, I think, and the government being one, and they want to see jobs and growth at the end of the day. That's what it's about. It's putting money back into the economy, which of course is particularly important at this time. And then our other stakeholder is the universities. And their agenda is a little bit different. They're really looking at developing more research income. And so what they want to do is see us make good connections with those SMEs, early, small to medium enterprises that we're working with, to make research collaborations with them, get research grants, and lead to longer term relationship. And also doing things like student internship projects, etc. So really utilizing the knowledge base of the universities in those technology companies. So completely different kind of interests and things that they want to see from us. But of course, they see the metrics that we provide to government. Of course, that plays into a lot of bids that they will put in for other types of funding, because enterprise and impact is so important for all research these days. They can't do it in isolation.
So connected to that, how do you prioritize between these two actors? How does that work?
Well, I think it's about the programs that we're delivering and how we make that, how we make those programs work. So we have programs that help those companies to get the support from the universities, so the universities can see the value of that. We have programs where there are R&D, linking them to the R&D base, working with the academics on grant. And then, with government, it's about getting the big stats, the big numbers. So when we work with yourselves on the benchmarking, where we pull out those figures and collect them together, then it means that we can show that big number, and that's what governments are interested in.
Thanks, Prajeet. Your two big stakeholders, and what do they want to see?
Yeah. So Ali, here what happens is when it comes to stakeholder, we have multiple stakeholders. So in terms of contributing to the ecosystem, in terms of coming here, supporting the startups, supporting the whole startup ecosystem, government is the biggest stakeholder. Why? Because government is running the whole ecosystem here. So that is fixed, like a kind of thing that is always been there. Since we are supporting the startups in the all the 4 cycles, like ideation stage, product development stage, product validation stage, in fact market validation stage, and the scaling up stage. It depends on the stages wherein we need the support from the stakeholder. So of course, in the early stage, like ideation stage, university is the biggest stakeholder, wherein university, we make sure that we are getting some good ideas out there from the young minds, young innovators from the colleges, and government has tied up with the universities to support colleges and set up many incubators there, and through them we are getting the ideas for our pre-incubation pipeline. When it comes to the product validation, of course there are different stakeholders there. So one such stakeholder, industry is a stakeholder. Then we have a stakeholder like community partners, like we have TIE Global, we have Startup India, through which we are getting the startups who are developing their products. They come to us, and hence we get them involved in our program. Both in the market validation and in this product thing, we have these stakeholders. And when it comes to scale up category, the biggest stakeholder is always the industries and global accelerators with whom we have partnered, and they support our startups to help them scale globally.
That makes sense. Thank you, Prajeet. I understand that at different stages there are different focus areas. But okay, let's take the government part. What would you say are the 2-3 most important metrics that they are measuring your performance on, that you need to showcase that we are on the right track?
Right. So I will specifically focus on the 2 aspects that we are doing. So one is incubation and another is acceleration, because these are the 2 things wherein we are focusing more as a program. So government's focus on incubation part is like we look into 3 aspects. One, like the time. We look into time gap, like how a startup is growing from the ideation stage, how that is evolving through its startup life cycle. So how rapidly they are building the product, how rapidly they are validating their idea, how rapidly they are getting involved with the technologists, other mentors, and how rapidly they are developing the MVP. That is one aspect that we look into.
Interesting.
Yeah. Second is of course the team building. We believe that a startup, a single founder cannot do wonders. So a founder should form his or her team, and that is what that is the second aspect that we always look into. And because a founder, he can be a technologist or he can be a pure business minded person, or either he can be either. But again, in order to scale up, in order to develop the product fast, he needs support of his team. So how fast how not just fast, how he is developing the team, whether he has developed his or her team, that is the second aspect that we look into. And third aspect, the product development phase, because we either allow our startups to fail fast, or come up with a MVP or product in the market as soon as possible, so that they can quickly go into the next phase, that is acceleration. So time, whether the startup is having a team, and the product development. These are the three metrics from the incubation perspective. And when it comes to accelerator, accelerator, after developing the product, what the startup is doing, whether they are growing fast in terms of they have some good collaboration, strategic partnerships with the corporates who are giving them enough POCs, who are giving them enough opportunity to validate their own product. So strategic partnership is the one metrics that we look into. Are they growing fast with the help of the mentors, with the help of the global connections that Accelerator is giving to them, or through the accelerator program in which they are into? So we have multiple accelerators. We have FinTech Accelerator. We are recently we have recently launched a FinTech Accelerator. Now we have an accelerator launched with the GrowthX. GrowthX is a Silicon Valley based accelerator. So all these programs, whether they are leveraging towards their growth or not, that is the second metrics. And the funding, early stage funding, especially when they launch their product in the market, are they able enough to convince the investors or VCs to receive funding, so that with that funding they can scale up? So when it comes to acceleration, growth, early stage funding, and strategic partnership, these are the three metrics that we look into acceleration part.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prajeet. That was quite interesting. I've never heard about the time aspect in that way before, to kind of move them along the processes, and that's one way of indicating progress, etc. So moving back to you, Karin, if you get to choose the three most important metrics, that showcase how well it's going for SETsquared, which three metrics would you choose?
Yeah, so probably if we're looking at it from just purely the government side, which is where the funding comes from, then as Prajeet ended there on the funding element, looking at how much funds have been raised by the companies that we're supporting, that's got to be the probably the number one KPI. Because if you're raising funds, then you're going to be employing people, which is going to lead to more employment, because they're probably high value jobs, etc. So that's probably the key metric for us. Last year our companies raised 1.2 billion. And those are the kind of figures that you need to be showing to government for them to actually kind of sit up and look at you. You've got to be talking in the billions. They often talk in billions or trillion or higher. So unless you can give them that kind of figure, they're not going to listen to us. So that is a really, really important figure for us. Outside of investment, then the next thing I think that we track, we really do through economic studies, and that is really showing the economic value of what we do. And so we can both show the value that we have had to date, and that's done, externally by them looking at the number of companies you've got, the likely number of employees that those companies have. We have some of that data, and then the likelihood of them growing, there's always a certain number that will fall off, etc. When you're an economist, you can look at that, you can predict it, and you can work out what the likely economic impact is that those companies will have in the future. And I think when we did our 2018 study, it predicted in the next 10 years, we would produce 8.6 billion of economic value. And again, it's a big figure, and those are the sort of numbers that government wants to see. So economic value, which is really associated both to that financial, which they look at from the number of likelihood employees that a company will have, high value jobs, and therefore the indirect jobs as well as the direct jobs. So those are the key ones I think that we utilize. We have some others, obviously, for the universities, where we look at things around research grants, where the SMEs are engaging with the universities, and that's important, and the income that's coming into the universities from that. But the key ones externally are that ones that show the impact that it's having on the economy.
Thank you, Karen. And I think the economic value type of metric that you developed it a couple of years ago, and it's always interesting. I think that's a number or metric that you showcase in your annual report. I think you usually do an infographic around your investor day or something like that. I would actually recommend everybody that's listening to the webinar to go in and check out the SETsquared's annual reports, and especially on the economic value, because that's one of those metrics that you showcase, to the government, to the public, of the impact, the overall. You're taking a bigger kind of grasp on it, and I think it's really interesting on how you do it. And
yeah, we only do that report probably. So it's 2018, and we're just about to do another one in 2023, 2022 for our 20th anniversary, which will show what our impact will be in the future from the 20 years that we've done. Yeah, I can probably send you the link. I'm not sure I can find it while I'm online, but
yeah, no. So it's a question that we got, and I wanted to share that. We will see if we can put it in the meeting notes afterwards, and it's going to be available on the platform. But I think it's a great report so that you guys can show in. And again, in the future, if you have any questions around, because you got support, I think, from a consultancy firm like PMG or somebody like that.
You need an
exactly.
It's an externally done. It's not us, because you need somebody to externally verify the data.
So let's give the audience an example of how you do it, how you did it, and then if there's any other questions around that, Karen and SETsquared will send you guys those emails.
Maybe I could just say there that that's kind of the benefit of UBI, because the benchmark that you do, it's an independent validation of what you're doing. So when we put in the figures to you, you come back and independently verify that for it, in the same way as us working with an economist. So that's part of the purpose of the study, the benchmarking study that you do for us.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Prajeet, so you've been around 7 years, etc. There's a lot of metrics that you have. So do you also follow the progress of your alumni, meaning those companies that have finished your program? Do you still keep track of them?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, so we are more than incubator and accelerator. Okay. Yeah. So anyone who graduates from our incubation or accelerator program, they are still in the network of Kerala Startup Mission. Why? Because all the startups who are registered with Kerala Startup Mission, they still can be able to avail the schemes and all the supports of Kerala government. So it's like when a startup is graduating from the incubation, or when a startup is graduating from the accelerator, they are still in the ecosystem. They are still, we consider them as a part of the Kerala startup ecosystem only, and through them, we avail a lot of support to the existing batch of incubation and accelerator.
I think that's great, Prajeet, and I think that's, regardless of what, that's something that we actually encourage everybody to have, to still keep them part of your ecosystem. And I kind of knew that. My question, if I'm going to be a little bit more concrete here, is that do you still ask them to report metrics to you if as part of their being part of this ecosystem, or can they do it if they want to?
Yeah, so they can do it if they want to, because the numbers are huge. Even when it comes to a program, even the numbers are huge. So we can't, take a track of 3,000 plus startups in the ecosystem. But again, we have an online portal wherein, they have a provision of updating their progress. 30 to 40% of the graduating startups, they do it because, we still are in contact with global stakeholders to get connected these alumni to those startups. So we need the details.
Right. And that's actually one of the concrete questions that I had, is that, okay, so there is some sort of portal where alumni or ecosystem actors can log in and kind of provide their metrics, so that you can kind of is that portal something that you've developed yourself, the government, or is it a service tool that you've hired? What's
So for both, data collection and data monitoring, we have developed portal in-house. Kerala Startup in-house IT team developed both the portals. So one portal is the startup unique ID portal. So unique ID portal is something which is kind of a unique code that is being given to the startup, Kerala-based startup, to make them as a Kerala registered startup. That is a unique identification of a Kerala startup. So there's a number. So in that portal, once they registered, they have a lifetime access to that. Okay, they have a provision of updating their details throughout their startup life cycle. So most of them join during their ideation or product development phase. They get their unique ID, and when they graduate through the program, or when they graduate, when they pass through their startup life cycle, they have the provision of updating that details in the unique ID portal, and we keep a track of them through our portal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So a little bit more concrete then on you guys, SETsquared. You also work with a lot of startups. How do you get your startups and your alumni kind of report back to you, like in practical terms? Like, what do you offer? What type of services do you have? Karen.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. I think my internet cut out.
Oh, okay. My question is that, well, you're also a big organization and you have a lot of startups, under your different programs, and then, your alumni. How do you capture the data of your current, batch and your startups? What do you do?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and we've done various things over the years, I can tell you. We've had a system ourselves, and then we found people didn't really want to use it, and encouraging people to go into it. And so now we just do surveys with our companies once a year. Questionnaires, just an online questionnaire, and then that data is kept in Excel spreadsheets. So it's as simple as that. We've gone around full circles on tools and platforms and etc., and that's what we've really found to be the best way to make it work. Companies are very, very busy. They're starting up. They have very time poor, and so they want to be as fast and as quick as possible. So we create a short questionnaire. We encourage them to do it. It's part of their contract that they have to do it. They have to provide it once a year, and that's what we do. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. We have a little bit more, around 15 minutes left. There is a function, and this is for all of the attendees today. It's called Q&A. That's where you can type in your questions that you would like me to bring up to Karen and Prajeet. I'm not reading the chat. I'm reading the Q&A. So if you just type in if there's anything that you would like to know, from these guys, let me know, and then I'll bring them up as we go. Let's see. So we were talking about that part. So I want to go into the benchmark, the world benchmark study, etc. So Karen, you've been participating a couple of times, and now we even kind of brought you up as a research partner. So, but what would you say are, the 2-3 most kind of benefits that you've gained out of participating in a, like you said, an independent study like UBI's? What did you gain out of it?
Well, obviously, other than being global #1, which of course we were always delighted about, but I think it's beyond that. I think being able to meet with like-minded incubators and learn from them, because just because you're #1 doesn't mean that you know everything. And so having the conferences, which being part of the study, I think has been so important for us. We found that invaluable, and being able to network and develop relationships. Sven, who's on the call, and some of our other colleagues across Europe. We have a team that we are able to share companies with where they need more market information in another country, which is great. So that really works well for us. In terms of the study itself and the sort of data that produces, I think it really helps us to consolidate together what we have as an organization, and be able to show that to our stakeholders, both government and the universities, and say, here we are in the rankings. This is where we sit in terms of what we do with amongst our peers, and these are the areas that we're very strong on. And also it can help where perhaps you're not so strong, and there has been 1 or 2 areas over the years that we perhaps wanted to be able to focus and get more funding for. So that's been really useful.
Perfect, thanks. And Prajeet, you've also been, participating a couple of times. What do you say that you've gained out of this?
So I think, Ali, benchmarking is a best possible way, through which other incubators and accelerators, they can understand the best practices of other, incubators and accelerators in the global network. Even we can also share the best practices followed by us, but we have gained a lot. In fact, the greatest benefit that we got is we could able to understand the importance of having a innovation, a full-fledged dedicated corporate innovation program. We were recognized as the best public business accelerator from UBI Global. Thank you for that. But in fact, that was the moment when we realized that importance of focusing more on having a full-fledged accelerator program with other global players as well, so that Kerala being a tier 2 city, wherein we have a lot of startups who don't have exposure to global ecosystem. But when we came there, when we understood about a lot of global acceleration program, that moment government took a decision we also will have our own acceleration program, and that's when we started collaborating with the global players, global acceleration players, and now we have 3 to 4 international accelerators that we are running, and startups are getting a lot of benefit. So one aspect is that. Second, global partnerships. So till the visit to Qatar, we were slightly in a dilemma, are we doing the right thing by sponsoring the startup and sending them to across the world, if the startup is getting good exposure or not. But after the visit to Qatar, we thought we were very confirmed that we are on the right track. And after that, our startups visits to the global, different destinations globally, especially the startup ecosystem, that got increased. And right now we could able to send 250 plus startups to different countries.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Guys, I have the Q&A open. Please send in your questions as we go. While you're thinking of your questions, Clemens, we have a short video, another one that we can play now, which is the World Bank. And then we'll continue the Q&A. No sound on that one. There we go. I hope that everybody is signed up to participate in the World Benchmark Study. I don't know if you've seen the latest send out that we had, that we are changing the format a little bit. We're going to open up the study in September this year, and we're going to measure your impact and performance based on June 1st, 2021 until July 1st, 2021 until June 30th, 2022. So we shift the data collection period a little bit. We would like to see post-pandemic activities, and we would like to see how it's been going for you in the fall and during the spring to capture your progress and performance. And we've also updated the technology that we are using to collect the data, but also more importantly on how we showcase the data. And we're going to have more presentations and videos of all of the changes that we've done for you guys. And I'm, as you can see, I'm like super excited that we have finally, built the tools and services for you in order so that you can showcase your great impact and performance to your stakeholders. So there's been a lot of things, exciting things going on in the back office of UBI that I hope that you will enjoy in the fall. So go into the worldbenchmarkstudy.com if you haven't signed up yet. Please do that. And I think in beginning of or middle of June, we will be sending you all of the questions ahead so that you can start prepare and so that you can start collect and that you can see how everything works. So if you sign up now, you will receive everything in June, but the actual data collection period will start 1st of September. Cool. Let's going back to the Q&A. I got something from an anonymous attendee. I don't know who that is, but I think this goes to you, Prajeet. You were talking about that you measure in acceleration phase. No, in the incubation phase, the team, how they are growing. So how do you actually measure that the startup is growing a successful team? What is the actual measurement around that?
Yeah, so basically, we have a program called FFS, Fail Fast to Succeed. Fail Fast to Succeed, which is done at the 4 levels. So okay, at the ideation level, at the product development phase, and at the scaling up phase. So most of this, team development metrics, all those things comes in the ideation or product development phase. So here we have a dedication program, a virtual incubation program, wherein we take intake of 20 to 40 startups. My team sits with them at each phases. Let it be the idea validation, let it be the team development, let it be the product development. So when it comes to team development, what happens is we keep a track, are the guys who are onboarded, or the team folks that were onboarded, are they experienced? So experience is one such criteria that we take into consideration. And second is expertise. So whether the team has a balanced, people, if there is an app development phase, whether the right developers are there, whether the people who are, into the sales or who are into the, business development, are these guys are there or not? So all those is a mix. So expertise and experience is the 2 metrics that we keep a track of, and we continuously track this aspect in team throughout their startup life cycle.
Thank you. Karen, a question to you. What's the average tenure of startups at SETsquared? How long are they with you guys on an average? Yeah,
that's a good question. If my memory serves right from the last time we did the survey, I think it was 3.8 years. Wow. So yeah, they actually stay quite a long time. But I think that's because we do have that kind of follow-on scale-up program, so they can grow into it. And they often raise not just once, it's twice or maybe even 3 times while they're with us. So I think that's probably why.
Prajeet, how long are they with you on your 2 different schemes that you have?
So is it the program tenure that you're pointing to? Or
yes, correct.
So program tenure, so when it comes to incubation, we have 2 incubation. One is physical and one is virtual. Physical incubation is of like 18 months, that means 1.5 years. And virtual incubation, it is of 4 months.
Okay.
And when it comes to acceleration, we run only virtual accelerator program, and that is for 4 months. Every acceleration and virtual incubation process is for 4 months, and physical incubation is just for 1.5 years. That means 18 months.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I have a question from Christina Öhman from Arctic, and I think this goes a little bit to UBI, so maybe I can take it. And Christina asks, which are the 3 most important questions or metrics, I believe, that we are focusing on when it comes to the benchmark study. And I think Karen kind of nailed them herself as well. And these are the ones that are most highly weighted on our framework as well. And the 3 most important that we have, number 1 is job creation and sustainability. And it's because, that goes across every incubator except of the private ones. They don't tend to care so much about job creation, but since the majority of our community is university and public, how many jobs that has been created and sustained is the number 1 metric. Number 2, that goes for us, and again, Karen mentioned this, is the investment attracted. That says something about the impact and performance, that if you can get your startups to get a lot of investments, it showcases that you are on track of something that the market wants in that sense. So that's the second one. The third one that we take a look at, since this is also a benchmark of incubators and accelerators, it's applications received. We take a look at how attractive that you are for startups. And we take a look at that on different dimensions, if they come from the ecosystem that you are in, or if they come outside of your ecosystem or globally. And this has also changed now that everybody almost is offering virtual incubation. But if you have a lot of startups or entrepreneurs applying to participate in your services, that tells something about your attractiveness and the way you have the way you have presented yourself to the world. So for UBI, the 3 most important that we take a look at is jobs created, investment attracted, and applications received. With that said, we are on the hour, 2 o'clock CET, 1 o'clock in the UK. And what is it now? It's 7:30, 6:30 in India.
It's 5:30.
It's 5:30 in India. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Prajeet. Thank you so much, Karen, for participating today. Always a pleasure. And from UBI point of perspective, we are more than happy to promote you guys, showcase the great work that you do. And also, thank you so much for sharing and being connected to the community. I think the community really appreciates that your openness and your willingness to collaborate. So once again, from us and from the community, thank you so much for participating and for being who you are. For everybody else, thank you for joining in. This webinar has been recorded, will be available on our platforms moving ahead. And if there have any questions about measurements, framework, KPIs, and etc., you always know that we here at UBI are available, and you will see more and more material coming out over the summer. With that said, we're gonna end this with a short video about our digital platform that we have developed, and then I'll see you guys later on. So Clemens, do the short video, and then we'll leave it at that. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much once again. Have a lovely day ahead of you, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.